We begin with the outbreak in China. It's too big to ignore. They're clocking more than 10,000 cases a day. Most of the patients are children. They're coming down with a mysterious pneumonia. They have infected lungs and fever, but the cause of the illness is still unclear. You don't know exactly what this disease is, and China won't say how many cases there are or how widespread the outbreak is. Unofficially, it's being called a walking pneumonia. Officially, China is not sure what it's dealing with. But here's what we've been able to piece together. It's massive, with thousands of patients, mostly children. There is anecdotal evidence from key hotspots like China's capital, Beijing. The Beijing Children's Hospital is overwhelmed. They're getting 7,000 patients a day. That's the daily average, 7,000 patients. Another hotspot is Tianjin. It's a metropolis in northern China, close to Beijing. Last Saturday, Tianjin reported a big surge, over 13,000 cases in 24 hours. And this is just from one hospital, the Tianjin Children's Hospital, the biggest one in the city, this hospital. And remember what the pandemic taught us. These numbers are only a conservative estimate. They do not reflect the full scale of the crisis. If 13,000 patients end up in hospital, there are most likely many more outside, many more carrying the infection. That's the first point to note. The second is this. The outbreak is not recent. It must have begun weeks ago for the numbers to swell like this. And it appears that thousands of patients in multiple cities are now infected in China. Let me show you some pictures that are doing the rounds. Again, these are Chinese hospitals. They are overburdened. Look at this one. Reports say these are parents standing in long queues, waiting to get their children treated. There is also a grab of a hospital screen. It says there are more than 700 patients in the queue, 700 patients in the queue. And what's the waiting time to see a doctor? More than 13 hours. Then we have this picture, again from a hospital in China. These children are sick. They have been placed on an IV drip, but they're still doing their schoolwork. This looks like a classroom inside a hospital. All of it is quite alarming. But guess what Beijing says? It's not unusual. They released a statement to this effect today. It said that they've not found anything unusual. They found no novel pathogens, meaning no new virus or bacteria. China is basically saying this is not a new disease. And this is what they've told the WHO, the World Health Organization. But what is causing the surge then? Why are so many children falling sick in China? According to Chinese reports, they're dealing with a perfect storm, a nasty flu season, where multiple diseases are circulating like influenza and Mycoplasma pneumoniae. It is a bacterial infection. So this is China's assurance. But remember, the same China had misled the world in 2019. In a similar fashion, it had played down the Wuhan virus outbreak. When the virus was spreading rapidly, China insisted there was no human-to-human transmission. They lied to the world, and the WHO took their word for it. It was a mistake that cost the world millions of lives. This time, China has shared some data with the WHO, but some experts say it's not good enough. Like Dr. Kritika Kupalli. She's an infectious diseases expert and a member of the WHO's health emergency team. Let me quote from what she said. I was very concerned when the first reports of the alert came across at the end of 2019, and I am concerned now. This is China's first winter without a stringent lockdown, and they could have an increase in respiratory infections as other countries did coming out of lockdown. This could be anything. Let's get more information. And those last four words are key. Let's get more information. Experts are raising red flags here, and world leaders cannot take this lightly. We need to be vigilant. India, too, is watching the situation in China. New Delhi put out a statement today. It said India faces a low risk from the outbreak in China. Nonetheless, it is being monitored. We say it's best to err on the side of caution and not be too diplomatic about this one. Because the last time something like this happened, the world was thrust into a pandemic. We cannot afford to repeat the same mistakes.